In this edition of Earthlings Unscripted, a story about a British invasion by our dear friend Nico.
All right, so it took place back in 1999. Limp Bizkit was on the airwaves. That's how we know it was 99. We had yellow onions on our belts, all that.
Yeah.
So I took a trip to England where I stayed on my buddy's couch for a month. I went to Sussex College that's near Brighton, but it's not in Brighton, which is a town, city, if you will. It's outside of it. It's kind of a rural campus. And when I got there, I met my buddy's roommate, John. And John was, and probably still is, an anarchist.
Okay.
And he...
Interesting.
So at that time in England, they were proposing to implement like the first poll tax, or not poll tax, but the first tuition. They were going to implement £1,000 tuition. So it was going from zero, like totally free college, to £1,000. And a lot of people had a big problem with this.
Sure.
So,
but then hold on. But then so your whole tuition for like university was £1,000.
That's
like
it.
Everything.
Yeah, it went from zero to £1,000. So,
Okay.
Yeah, so it went from totally free to something.
Something.
Not totally unaffordable. But like the idea of it, a lot of people found offensive. And there were people from all over Europe, maybe even all over the world here. John had like some anarchist friends, and we actually like sat in on a building, like we did a sit-in, and there were like maybe 30 to 40 people there. And then later on in that week, I'd been there for a couple of weeks at this point, we're hanging out. I wasn't going to classes or anything. We were just going to shows and like art things. For this particular expedition, there were like maybe 8 of us, and there were like, some of this is like, I've remembered it so much, I'm sure I've added things.
Sure.
But like there definitely were like white guys with dreadlocks, but they weren't from like California. They were from like Germany or Wales.
Right.
So we had a little squad. We had like 8 people. Some of them had like whistles, and they were going to be lookouts.
Lookouts for what? Okay, the activity's coming.
Yeah. So the mission was we were going to spray paint on the outside of the university buildings. Some like anti-tuition type stuff.
Yeah, slur.
So it wasn't just me and John, but it got kind of whittled down to me and John. I helped John up onto a ledge that was maybe 8-ish feet up. Like it was like pretty hard to get him up there. But I lifted him up, and he started to spray paint Sussex, the name of the university, except SUSSEX. But instead of normal S's, they were dollar signs for the S's.
Right.
So and he and then I think maybe he was going to put like LLC afterwards or something, but. The point was it was all about money and not about education anymore. I know, coming from America, this all seems like kind of quaint because we even then paid, so much more for tuition.
Like enormous amounts of money.
But I was down for the cause. I was like...
For sure.
So I helped John up onto the ledge, and he's spray painting this. And there's some parts about what happened next that I know aren't quite accurate. Whistles started being blown.
Right.
Other people were spray painting things, and there was a security guard that was like 100 yards away from us, like running towards us. Now, the part that I know is not true is that he had like a billy club and like a big hat.
Of course.
Like,
Yeah.
I know that's not true. But what is true, but that's how I see it.
Yeah.
What is true is that he had a terrible mustache and he was fat. And he was running at us, and I know he did say this. He was like, "Hey, you bastards!" I apologize for terrible English accents. That'll happen. And then like John was like all like freaked out, and he's getting like closer and closer, and like I'm trying to help John down off the ledge, and now the security guard's like maybe only like 30 feet away. Sure. I let John down onto the ground, but he kind of spills onto the ground, and at that exact same moment, as the security guard's closing in on us, the security guard trips for no reason. Just like he managed to run the full 90-ish yards fine, but then like for some reason he just tripped, and he was on the ground now like right next to us, and he grabbed John's leg and like had him by the ankle. Right. And I was just kind of standing there like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And like John like
You're like, should I pull him? Like,
yeah, I was kind of frozen at that moment.
The security guard? Like
John just kicked his leg and like kicked free and then like ran, and I stood there for like probably only a quarter of a second and like ran also. So like I said, the campus is fairly rural. Like, it was surrounded by these huge kind of like wheat or grass fields. Like, I remember running into the side of campus, which is just like these huge fields. And at the time, there were still some of the other like white dudes with dreadlocks and whoever else. There were like some of the other people were still around us. And I remember walking through really high grass or whatever it was, knowing that there were other people around. And then after a while, I didn't hear anybody. And I took like this really long circumference around campus, getting back to the little, we had like a little bungalow. It wasn't like a dorm exactly, but it was like its own little structure. It might have been like a duplex or something, sort of. In any case, it was half a mile away, but it took me like 2 hours to get back there because I was like slowly weaving my way through this grass, like on the outside of campus, like doing this really impractical, slow path.
Sure.
Being like, I'm going to get fucking deported. This is crazy. Why did I do this? Finally got back to the bungalow, our dorm, as it were. John, like, I got there, and, like, our French friend Jan was there, and my buddy Rob was there, whose couch I was staying on, and they're like, yeah, I don't know, like, John was all, like really upset, and now he's in the bathroom taking a bath, which is very strange, post...
Yeah, post-anarchist
activity.
He's
Yeah.
like, and now I'm going to take a soothing bath with lavender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So afterwards, John came out and he's like, I have to admit something. When he grabbed my leg, I shot my pants. Oh, okay. Well, that explains the bath then. So yeah, that was pretty much the end of the anarchist activities that I remember. Might have signed some lists and stuff to say that I felt like it was a bad idea. I
think you actually like signed a law, which is like better than a list.
And what was funny, I thought also, was that I saw John like 10 years later, and he was like, I think I recounted the story, but I skipped the part about pooping his pants.
Yeah.
And he was like, I have to admit something to you. I shat my pants that night. And I didn't have the heart to be like, yeah, I know. I always tell people that part. How could I forget that?